What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show. The Blazers get their first blowout win of the year, breaking an 8-game losing streak as they take care of the Jazz 121-105. And honestly, the game wasn't even that close. The Blazers got up by 32 at one point, and this was kind of a shocking game as the Blazers had been struggling mightily for 8 games in a row, hadn't beat a team by double digits yet this season. And they take care of business tonight, shooting the 3-ball well, forcing Utah into a whopping 24 turnover game, getting out on the break. This team just looked different today. Eric, how's it going, man? And what did we just watch? Because that was a little surprising.
We watched Portland play against a team that's in, for some reason, more dysfunction than them. But yeah, it helps to get guys back, just to have a more clear rotation. Players can play a little harder in their minutes when they're in. And yeah, who would have known that an NBA team's with their two centers on their roster of Uprise and Moses Brown would be able to blow out a team in an NBA game.
Yeah, very surprising. This Utah team had been competitive in previous games. Like, they lost a couple close games to the Phoenix Suns, including one that went into double overtime, but those games were at home in elevation. So I thought the Jazz were going to be able to take care of the Blazers tonight. They had looked better than they did tonight, but bad game from them, good game from Portland. They were active tonight, and there was a lot that kind of went into a good defensive performance. I feel like 105 on the board for Utah doesn't really do this justice because the Jazz really cut this game closer late, where the Blazers just did it on both ends of the court. And this is the first game of the year that we've seen them actually play good basketball on both sides of the court. You know, it helps that they got Malcolm Brogdon back now and then Scoot Henderson back, but he barely played. So this was a lot of the same dudes that had been playing, and you didn't even have DeAndre Ayton in this game. You have Uprise starting, Jabari Walker playing small ball 5 and looking great. Career high 16 points, 10 rebounds, first double-double of his career. So it was just kind of a good collective effort from the guys that had been playing during this stretch where they were struggling and them just turning it up a notch, man. You know, it's putting together a good brand of basketball today.
Yep. Jabari was great. Jeremy had a good game. But I thought Thibault had his best game of the season as well. And he was really a force on the defensive end. Kamara was his usual force on the defensive end as well. And yeah, it just seemed like we were everywhere and forcing a lot of bad shots and a lot of turnovers, which is something that I'm not used to really seeing for this Blazers squad.
Yeah, man, this was one of those games where Thibault flying around the way he does really came out in a good way. You know, there's games, usually against better teams, that can really pass the ball, move the ball, read the defense, where he tries to fly around, he goes for gambles, he doesn't get them, and his defense becomes a negative almost. This game against this Utah Jazz team, which is one of the worst teams in the league, he made a ton of defensive plays, playing passing lanes, and just came up huge, hit a couple threes, had an impressive drive too. A couple turnovers that were questionable, but overall, just really, really impactful two-way performance from him. 5 for 9 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, 3 steals, 2 blocks, so that's 5 stocks on the board for Thibault, plus 24 off the bench. I think it was him and Kamara really defensively that had the biggest impact on this game. And, you know, Thibault was in that starting small forward spot. Now he's off the bench behind Kamara, but those guys played some together. Kamara played 28 minutes, Thibault played 32. And those two guys really, really impressed me on both ends of the court, because you look at Tamani, 12 points, 4 for 8 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. You love to see him knock down a couple threes in this game, because that's what we've been asking for from Tamani. 7 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, they just filling up the stat sheet, both these guys. So really impressive performance from the small forwards today from those two guys, and to get a combined 5 for 10 from 3, that's 50% from them, is part of the reason why we were able to shoot 17 for 39. This is the second straight game we're in the 40s in terms of three-point percentage.
Yeah, on top of the stocks that counted in the stat box score, Thibault had just countless deflections in this game. It seemed like every time they tried to throw a pass when Thibault was in the game, he was like knocking it away or cutting it off. And That's, that's what you like want to see from him. Unfortunately, a lot of times it ends up being a risky gamble, or he goes for a steal and doesn't get it, and it leads to an open basket. But tonight, man, he was flying all over, and it was just awesome to see. And Tamani, man, yeah, he hits his first three, um, and then I think he hit a second three too, then missed his last two. But it was nice to see that first one go down. And those guys are just like everywhere on the court, and you need guys like that. And once we start getting our actual like scores back all at full strength, and then you mix in the way those guys can play, you can start to see the beginnings of a competent team there, and hopefully they can play more. I mean, obviously you're not going to blow out most teams like they did tonight, but just be a little better in terms of winning games and playing like this for sustained periods instead of just for a minute or two at a time.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And the effort's been pretty good all season long. It was really another level today, man. I mean, just what they were doing defensively, flying around, being active. And you have to wonder if having Scoot back gave this team a little bit of a spark, because he returns today earlier than we thought he was. I was sitting here like, man, he's not going to play next Sunday against Dame, but he's back half a week before then. They bumped up his timeline. They were saying 2 to 3 weeks. It ended up being about a week and a half. So we talked about that earlier today on our second channel, talking about Scoot, him coming back, and I'll have a video talking about like kind of what I'm looking for from him over the rest of the season. But he brings some energy and he brings some playmaking, and he'll definitely looked rusty in this game. And it's not like he's really set the precedent that he'll play well at the NBA level yet. But just to have his speed out there, I think in transition, got this team kind of playing a little bit faster. I thought they looked good when Scoot was in the game, not necessarily just because of Scoot, but just the flow of the offense, just how fast they were getting out and running, the intensity that they were playing with, and you just have to wonder if maybe it wasn't like a production lift from Scoot, maybe it was just an emotional lift for a team that had kind of been beat down in the past couple of weeks and lost 8 in a row. I think they kind of needed just that spark that Scoot brings, and obviously Brogdon back helps with the ball handling and whatnot. So I thought those two guys getting back were definitely a big part of this, even if like the stat line for Scoot doesn't look super impressive or anything.
Absolutely, and he came in. I mean, you could tell just holding the basketball seemed kind of awkward, when you sit out for a few weeks. It takes a while to get that feel back. But like his like just movement and the way he pushes the ball up the court and just runs around, it's like, I don't know, like if he ever learns how to contain that energy to like, do good basketball things, he's going to be quite the force. So hopefully he can learn to like harness all that energy he has and that speed into like actual useful basketball plays. You can see flashes of it, but he definitely still feels like, I don't know, like he's not quite 100% sure of how to use his athleticism and his strength right now.
Yeah, and I think some of the reads he was making were slow. He was rusty in that regard. Because you definitely saw his processing speed up over the first 5 games. He definitely struggled the first couple of games just reading the game at all. Had some rough turnovers and started to look a little bit better in that regard right before he got hurt. This looked more like his first couple of games of the year where he was seeing passes late, and sometimes he was still throwing them, right? Or sometimes he was bobbling the ball and then throwing them. So, as far as Scoot goes, like, not going to overreact to this game. If it came out looking great, like, that would be awesome, but there's really just a long ramp-up period here for him, where it's just going to be fun to see him improve, see him play minutes, and especially in a game coming off the bench and minutes restriction and all that, like, this is just him getting his legs back under him. So still missing the 3 ball. Had an impressive finish on Omer Yurt 7 on a big man, used his body well, which is something we were asking for before he got hurt. So it was good to see a couple of good moments. He gets fouled on a floater. So there was definitely some good in there with him. And, it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster, but just happy to see him getting his legs back under him, man, because that dude is what is fun to watch right now. This is the funnest game of the season to watch because we're hitting threes, because we're making shots, but I still I'm more intrigued in the game when he's in. It's just a different feel. It's a different level of intrigue when he's in the game than when he's out of it. And I'm happy to have him back. I'm looking forward to next game. Not to get ahead of ourselves, I'm looking forward to seeing him go against Dame. It's just gonna be surreal in a way. It's gonna be wild. So happy that he's back for sure.
Yeah, and then we just got a donation. Do you want to read that off? It pertains to the subject.
Yeah, shout out to JD the Dev with the $10 donation. Thank you, JD. Says, good to see Scoot back, but I wonder, does he need to slow down? Does the team need to speed up when he's on the floor? What are we thinking needs to happen to get Scoot to be more Scoot? That's a great question. That's a great donation message. Appreciate it. I think you never want to just play a one speed. I mean, the best guards in the league, they're really good at changing pace and using that pace to do what they want on the court, to get to their spots, to open up passing lanes, etc. Scoot hasn't mastered that at all yet. And you look at Skylar Mays. Skylar Mays does not have the quickness or the athleticism of a Scoot Henderson, not even close. But Skylar Mays has a really good pace about his game and knows when to speed up to try and get a step on a defender, knows when to slow down. When he's given space in the mid-range, we'll go to that floater. Just plays at a really solid pace. So does Malcolm Brogdon as well. Malcolm Brogdon, he had a couple drives in this game where it didn't even seem like he was driving fast. He's just able to get to the rim. So I think having those guys in practice, I know Skylar Mays is a little bit young, but he surely knows how to master pace. I think those guys will be good mentors for Scoot to learn how to master his pace because he's just not comfortable out there. It takes a level of comfort, being able to read the defense, being able to be aware of where the defense is rotating to you, where your teammates are. There's a lot that goes into being comfortable enough to kind of control the game at that level. So I don't think the team necessarily needs to speed up other than playing in transition. I think they got out in transition a lot today. I don't know how many fast break points they had. Let me pull up the box score here. The Blazers today had 14 fast break points. It felt like more, though. There was a lot of early offense, I felt like, that wasn't necessarily fast break, Eric, but was quick offense.
How many did Jazz have?
11.
I think a couple of those were towards the end, too. So,
yeah.
I felt like they did a really good job of limiting their turnovers, which didn't allow them to run very much. And, of course, they shot the ball well, which helps us also.
Yeah, but to answer the question, I think there's certain instances where the team needs to look to run more, especially when Scoot's on the floor. And there's certain instances where I think Scoot does need to slow down, especially in the half court, and just kind of learn how to be shifty at slower speeds and use his ball handling, use footwork to try and get by guys in certain situations than just always trying to go 100 miles an hour to blow by them.
Mm-hmm. For me with Scoot, it's there's a difference between slowing down the speed and what you dribble the ball or move up the court, and slowing down in terms of the game around you slowing down and you figuring out what to do and you reacting quicker, which means if you react quicker, you have an extra second to make a pass that right now, when you're not seeing it first till it's too late, you don't have that extra second. So to me, it's not necessarily that he needs to slow down. He needs to find the kind of middle ground to where he's playing fast and doing the things that make him Scoot, but also not too fast to where he can't make the reads he needs to make. And maybe eventually he can start playing as fast as he's playing right now. So yeah, I think he needs to just slow down a little bit. But I don't think he should slow down too much because, I don't know, in the half-court offense, if he's getting bogged down, I I don't know if he has the right like smoothness or like flow to his game to like really thrive going as slow as like Skylar does. So there's got to be some sort of like in between there. But I do think him pushing the ball up and just creating chaos by with his quickness and getting places quickly, I think that will eventually lead to him doing really good things on the court. I just think he's getting to those spots, but not knowing what to do right now. And he's looking to pass a lot, but he's missing passes, and then he tries to force passes, which is fine. Like that's not nothing bad or anything. But I think at some point he's going to have to just find a balance between playing under control and using his speed as his main advantage over players.
Yeah, 100%. So appreciate the donation, and that's a really great question. Always love getting good donation questions, man. Always love it. So
Gray asked a question that I was going to ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
It says, what do you think of Scoot's dribbling ability?
Scoot has big hands, man. And you can kind of tell when he like miss dribbles that it might just be like he has huge hands. And you can tell when he shoots, like he has long arms. I mean, he's 6'2". He has like, it's almost like he has Kawhi hands in a way. So I think that makes it a little bit harder to dribble. Like if you've ever tried to dribble a tennis ball compared to a basketball, like the smaller the ball is, the harder it is to kind of control. So you know, his ball handling is not where it needs to be. Neither is Shaedon Sharp's. Like both those guys need to improve their ball handling. We talked about Anthony Simons when he came into the league about how he needed to improve his ball handling, and he's done so. And part of it is just learning how to move with your dribble in ways that aren't completely predictable and aren't just like what you're comfortable with. So being able to kind of dribble outside your body and kind of float the opposite direction as a cross, like just there's a lot that goes into being shifty with your dribble. People just think of ball handling as like the ability to put the ball on the floor and have it come back to your hand, right? The ability to cross over between the legs, wrap it behind the back, etc. But half of ball handling is simply just being able to move how you want to move with your dribble, or move in a number of different ways with your dribble. How to combine footwork in order to shift your defender and get by him. So there's a lot that goes into ball handling. You have to have a certain level of comfort with your live dribble in order to be able to move like that. So Scoot definitely needs to improve that. But I'm not worried about it at all. Like that's something that's easy to improve. It just takes just a lot of work to drill that into your system, basically. So he definitely needs to improve his dribble though, 100%.
Yeah, to your point about the hands, I feel like when he dribbles, the ball comes up high and gets like you can see it like getting almost caught in his hand every time he dribbles, and it's like it's almost like when you teach someone how to dribble and they don't know how to like hold the ball softly and they're like trying to bat at it, you know, but like his hand's so big it still kind of absorbs the ball. So yeah, like
he dribbles hard.
Yeah. I don't know if he needs to do, because like he's got long arms, so he doesn't need to push the ball. Like that's more for someone who's like taller, right? Who needs to get the ball to come back up to them every time they dribble it. I don't think he needs to do that. So maybe that's an adjustment that coaches can make with him is like softer dribbling to where like he stays a little lower to the ground and doesn't stand up as much. But I don't know. I'm not really concerned about it right now.
Yeah, that's another part of ball handling too, is just being able to mix up the strength of your dribbles, right? Mm-hmm. Like slowly dribble into, you know, maybe like a right to left cross and snap it back to your right hand quickly and go. So, you know, people just think of changing pace in terms of like body movement. You can also change pace in your dribbling and your ball handling. So there's so much that goes into being a high level NBA guard in terms of handling the ball. A lot of it's hard to explain. But like if you ever go on YouTube and look at like Drew Hanlon teaching clinics on just guard clinics and different moves and different drills for this stuff, it'll really open your eyes to how much goes into being able to be a shifty guard, being able to handle the ball, being able to set things up. So Scoot has a lot to learn in that regard. But that is where it's fine. He's 19, he has 5, 6, 7 years until he hits his prime or whatever. He'll learn that. And then when you combine that with his athleticism, and then if you combine that with a three-point ball, that's when you get star-level Scoot Henderson, right? That is the upside. I just think, people saw him in the G League kind of get wherever he wants because the G League is a lower level, and people didn't really view that as a problem because he was able to get to his spots. So I think that's part of the reason why his struggles have maybe surprised some people, is because they just expected him to continue to be able to get to his spots, continue to be able to handle the ball and just move the way he did in the G League. But he's not doing it because he doesn't have those extra little pieces. He doesn't have that extra little bit of creativity to do it at the highest level in the world. So then when he comes out here and plays NBA games, it's like, oh, he doesn't look like Scoot because he's not getting to his spots the same way. So yeah, definitely a lot of work in progress in that regard from Scoot. But that is something that he can absolutely figure out in the next 2 to 3 years.
Well, I mean, the first 3 drives of this game, he got basically to the basket. He finishes one, misses a couple, but like he was still getting to the hoop.
Yeah.
Now he's not good at finishing, and I feel like his feel for that kind of stuff is still a little clunky and awkward. So hopefully that improves a lot. But like his first like drive to the hoop, he gets right by everyone and just like short rims his shot, and then he had his second shot. He didn't shoot it very well, but it ended up going in. And then his third shot, I think he felt like he got fouled. But it's encouraging to see him get to the rim every time.
Yeah. The thing is with all those, how many of them are just straight line drives? I'm actually rewatching it. Like the one that he made on Yurt 7 was just kind of like a basic left to right crossover at the top of the arc and then just driving straight into his body. The first one was just handoff from Jabari, and yeah, I'm just kind of like rewatching some of his drives right now. It's just a lot of it is defenders are still sagging on him because he's not a 3-point shooter like that, so it does make it a little bit harder. And then a lot of it's just straight line drives, so it's like he's not actually beating his defenders a lot of times when he's trying to go up. That's part of why his finishing is bad, and it's just like really tough finishes because he doesn't have his shoulder fully by him. But it's not due to like a lack of quickness like you would see with some other guys. It's just due to A, just that 3-point shot, and then B, like he's not really somebody who off the dribble is going to shift his defender to a side and be able to make it easier on himself to beat him. He'll have moments for sure, but that is where the extra part, all the ball handling, being able to move with your dribble comes in. So yeah, once he adds those two elements, it'll make the game so much easier on him. It'll make reads easier on him because he'll be able to beat his defender easier and have a little bit more time to read the help defender. His vision will be, have a wider rate. You have a wider range of vision when you're able to beat your defender, right? Because you don't have him on your hip taking away one whole side of the floor in terms of what you can see. So yeah, Scoot will be fine. That's why I wasn't panicking with him the first 5 games. It's just there's a lot that goes into being an NBA guard, and the thing is like there's guys that come into the league as rookies and are solid because they already know how to be shifty. They already know how to change pace. That was one of the reasons why I loved Austin Reeves when he went undrafted, and one of the reasons why I thought he could be successful in the league. And if you guys have listened to me talk about the draft, I focus a lot on like movement patterns and this sort of stuff when trying to identify like second round sleepers. And I've actually had some decent success with it because it's something that is definitely teachable, definitely learnable. Some guys just have it. Some guys have to be taught it. Some guys can't figure it out. I think Scoot will be one of those guys that will be taught it and will be able to figure it out.
Yeah, I feel like one of his problems too is going from dribbling to shooting. Like I don't know, something happens with the ball in his hands or something. Like it's just not really a smooth transition, and it makes his shot look a little awkward than it needs to be.
It's his flat wrist.
Yeah.
Like bringing the ball up with a flat wrist is a little bit awkward. I don't know if like any of you have ever messed around with a shot and tried to just shoot off the dribble just with a flat wrist. Like that's something that I've been working on just playing myself, is just trying to get that wrist a little bit more bent and shooting off the dribble. And a lot of times when it looks awkward or when it feels awkward, if any of you play basketball, it's when you don't get that wrist bend when you're gathering the ball. Because if you bend your wrist, it's easier to get under it. The problem is if you have a flat wrist, your hand's going to be more on top of the ball. So it's awkward because there's more movement needed to kind of get your arm under it. And I think that's the thing with Scoot is he, at his set point, he even has a flat wrist. Some guys will pick up the ball with a flat wrist and then cock it back. But, like, he picks up the ball with a flat wrist and then at his set point, he has a flat wrist. Just pause his shot at his set point, like right here, and look how flat his wrist is. So that is one of the biggest things I think it needs to improve. I think it would improve his off-the-dribble shooting, his pickups, and then also I think it would give him a little better touch on threes, and it would just make his shot more repetitive. And that's really the key, is just shooting the same way every time as much as possible.
So you're not worried about any of that stuff?
I mean, he needs a shooting coach. He needs a shooting coach that knows what he's doing. That's the key. And in today's NBA, you got so much...
Hire Torrey Jones.
You got so much footage, man. You got so much footage. You got, player tracking data. Like, I feel like if you pour over the tape, you got so much good footage in the NBA, you should be able to identify what the most inconsistent part of his shooting form is. That's really where you start. What is the most inconsistent part, or what is causing the most inconsistencies? And then you start trying to iron it out. And you go from there. You don't just completely change everything with his form. You got to change what's making him inconsistent, because what makes him inconsistent is what makes the shot go all over the place instead of in the same spot, which is through the hoop. So he needs the right shooting coach. I don't know if there's a guy on the Blazers coaching staff that is a good enough shooting coach. It might have to be somebody that's outside of that. Like Drew Hanlon would be a good guy to go see, I think. There's lethal shooter people will toss out there. There's guys out there that are renowned shooting coaches. Scoot just needs to find the right shooting coach, man, because that's a big key for his game. And I think he does have some good qualities in his form. There's just a couple of things that need to be ironed out.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, some of that stuff, though, it is hard to teach, like, feel sometimes. I hope that's not the case with Scoot. I'm not saying I'm worried about it, but there was a game, and this might be like kind of unfair to compare, but there was a game about halfway through Halliburton's rookie year where it was the fourth quarter against the Warriors, and they just put the ball in Halliburton's hands, and he was making plays out of the pick and roll, finishing smooth around the basket, and kind of like took over Sacramento's offense. And you were like, okay, this dude is legit. And so, like, we still have, almost 30 games until we get to that point for Scoot, where it's halfway through his first season. So, like I said, that might be a little unfair, but it just seemed like so smooth with it, and his field just seems so like good and ready for the NBA. And I don't think Scoot's there yet. And until he gets there, I think it's gonna be kind of clunky for a while, just until he kind of figures that out.
Yeah.
But
the thing is with Halliburton is, he came in and shot 41% from three. He's never shot below 40% from three. Like, and you looked at his form, and it was a little bit of a question, like, is that going to translate to the league? And he came in and was completely fine. And also just the size, so it's a little bit easier given, that he's 6'5", not 6'2". But, man, I hope Scoot becomes as good as Halliburton has been this year, because honestly, in my opinion, he's been a top 10 player in the league. Quietly. It's not that what he's doing is quiet, it's that I feel like people aren't considering a top 10 player in the league this year. But I mean, you look at Halliburton, just a little side note, 25 points per game, 12 assists, 4 rebounds, shooting 52% from the field, 46% from three, and 93% from the free throw line. His true shooting percentage is almost 68%. That's top 10 player in the league numbers. That's insane. So You know, if he can become something like that where he's getting 10 assists per game and 20 points and doing it efficiently, like that's a really good player. That's a really good player, and that's my hope for Scoot is he can become that level of guy. You know, kind of maybe like a Chris Paul type of player. You know, Chris Paul in his prime was close to 20 a game, 10 assists in an NBA that was a little bit lower scoring. So if he can approach that, you know, that's kind of the dream. And he has time. There's just, it's very clear what he needs to work on, which I think might be a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to go back and watch. I'm gonna have to do this sometime soon. This might actually be a good video. Like go back and watch like Russell Westbrook's rookie year.
I'd watched a few clips and
see how he was at this stuff, and like early on in his career.
There's just a lot more like, just looking at his highlights. Russell was like transition, broken plays, like. Teams not really guarding him off of pick and roll ball screen and just kind of giving him a lane. Like, it wasn't anything super impressive. So definitely curious to hear what your thoughts would be, though, if you go and rewatch it, and kind of how they differ, how they compare, that sort of thing. Before we jump into some other things I want to talk about, this postgame show is brought to you by Mojo Fantasy. Mojo Fantasy is a brand new daily fantasy app that combines a daily fantasy app with a stock market style system. So it's the only daily fantasy app in which you can make picks, sell picks, buy picks in the middle of games. So basically how it works is you have props such as, say, Shaden Sharp over 17.5 points. It has a price between $0 and $1. The price is dependent upon how likely it is to hit. If you buy that prop in the first half, if Sharp has 12 points of the 17.5 that he needs, then the price will go up. You can sell it, and you have a portfolio based upon all your prop picks and what you buy and sell them for. And it's a very intriguing take on daily fantasy sports. Now, you can also play it where you just pick player props, and it's actually, I think, easier to win than other daily fantasy apps. I've had success myself. I've won the last 3 contests I've joined in. So you can pick player props for NBA contests or NFL. And with Thanksgiving tomorrow, Eric, there's no NBA games, but there's 3 NFL football games. So you can get in on some Thanksgiving fun while you eat your turkey, eat your stuffing, whatever you do for Thanksgiving. And you can play Mojo Fantasy with the 3 NFL games. And you can get in on some action, have some fun with their app. Very clean design. I'm very impressed with how it looks, and I've had a lot of fun picking games. And for those of you that download the app with the link in the description box below and enter a paid contest, you'll be entered into this giveaway for an Anthony Simons signed jersey. We got a signed Anthony Simons jersey here that we're going to be sending out soon to one of you who enter a paid contest and download with the link in the description. So use the promo code Uprise. You'll receive a 100% deposit match. So if you deposit $100, you'll receive an extra $100 on top of that. That's free money to play with. So check out Mojo Fantasy today. And, you know, if you do it, there's a legitimate chance you can win this thing, for real. So if you guys want the signed Anthony Simons jersey, then definitely check out Mojo Fantasy. If you have any questions about how it works or how to sign up, feel free to message me on Twitter or message me on Discord or send me an email even, blazersuprise@gmail.com. I'm here to help you out because it's a fun app. There's a lot to it, and that's what makes it different than anything else on the market right now. So shout out to Mojo Fantasy. Appreciate them for sponsoring this post-game show. I'm looking forward to football tomorrow, man. I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving, not having to worry about a thing, just watching some football, eating some food.
49ers play tomorrow.
They play Thanksgiving and Christmas. But I'm not celebrating Christmas on Christmas, I don't think, so it's whatever, I guess. So we get both holidays as Niner fans. But that'll be fun. And then Black Friday game is interesting. Yeah. Anyway, chat. Let's tune in with chat before we talk about some other players. And we can also take questions that can segue us into other stuff. We're not going to be live again until until Sunday, which is the Dame. It's not the Dame return game because it's at Milwaukee, but it's the first game against Dame. We're going to have a live watch party for that. probably going to make Mojo picks for that. So if you want to cheer on Mojo picks with us, definitely do it before that game on Sunday. We'll have a watch party so we can see how it goes live. See how it goes. But yeah, we'll have a watch party and a post-game show, and it's going to be fun to see that play out. Next 3 days off, so we'll probably go a little bit longer tonight. Taylor Packer says Dame's gonna kill us. LOL. Dame's been struggling a little bit. Eric, did you watch that game earlier?
Yeah, I mean, he struggled in the first half. He had a huge second half.
Yeah. I wasn't able to catch the second half.
Dunk at the end.
Yeah, I wasn't able to catch the second half, but good to see him kind of break out there. But still, 27-5, like that's below his averages last year. He hasn't been shooting the three ball too well. People saying, is he washed? I even got that question from Guess Who via text message.
They had the ball down 4. I mean, they were down like 15 most of the game. As you watched in the first half, they were not playing well. Then Dame just went nuts at the end, hit his usual clutch threes and driving layups and stuff. And they had the ball down 4. I forgot how much time. There was like 15 seconds left or something. And he went for a quick 2 and got rim checked. He tried to dunk it.
Dang.
Yeah, I don't know. Down 4. I think you got to shoot a 3 there wasn't enough time. So I thought that was kind of a bad decision, but
yeah. So we'll see how he does against us. I mean, Milwaukee lost today, but they're 10-5. They've been playing much better since a slow first 4 or 5 games of the season. And Boston's probably the best team in the league right now. I think they're the best team in the league. They're 12-3, statistically really impressive on both sides of the ball. Like Porzingis, some people question that pickup, but he's been good for them, man. He just gives them a different dynamic offensively. And defensively, they've been fine. Defensively, they've been good. Like, he's not super mobile, but they got guys that can keep guys in front of him. You got Tatum, White, Drew Holiday, and Jaylen Brown. So it's not like he has to do a ton defensively. And then they got, like, Sam Hauser off the bench, 10 points. Peyton Pritchard, Oregon legend, off the bench, 10 points. Al Horford, 11 points. Like, Sam Hauser's playing minutes, and he's a shooter. So, yeah, impressive team there in Boston. We won't see them. I think both our matchups against them are like in February, March, late in the season. It feels like we always play Boston late in the season. So, but Milwaukee on Sunday will be fun, especially if we could beat Milwaukee. We could be. Yeah, I'm not gonna get too ahead of myself. We've won 1 game. Tori, calm down. We're 1-8 our last 9, but
yes. We're 3-3 with Scoot though.
3-3 with Scoot. Yeah. Scoot's the difference right there, man. Kind of back to this game, like. We didn't really miss Ayton tonight, did we? Like, is part of this performance because he wasn't playing, or is that just a coincidence? Like, we just made shots. We shot the ball well last game, and Ayton was cooking last game, but also we're playing Utah. It's just, I don't know, man. Like, Jabari Walker got some center minutes because Ayton was out, and I thought Jabari Walker was super impressive, and Duop Reith wasn't bad either and spaced the floor, and kind of helped us that way. So I thought it was a little interesting how Ayton doesn't play tonight, and we have our best offensive performance of the season.
I think it's more a coincidence. I can't really say that on one game. I mean, they didn't have Walker Kessler either, which helps a lot. We actually were able to score in the paint because they didn't have any paint defense in this one. But I mean, going into this, they're actually worse than us defensive rating wise. So,
yeah, they're pretty bad.
They were 30th. So,
our centers today, though, man. I mean, they were good. So it's probably more so props to them because they played well. Like Duop Reith 3 for 5, Jabari 8 for 15. They combine 4 for 7 from 3.
I mean, this is a game where Jabari could get away with playing center.
Yeah,
that's a really good matchup against them. But
I think he can get away with playing center if he doesn't have to rim protect a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Is really what it is. Like, because he can rebound like a center. He can box out, like he's physical. Low post, like if there's I mean, he can't play against the Embiids and Jokic's in the low post, but then again, who can? Like, if he's not playing one of those, like, low-post guys that you can just completely run an offense through, which there isn't many, like, I think he's fine defensively, positionally. It's just when it comes to, like, verticality, protecting the rim, trying to block shots or make shots tough, that's where he, like, lacks. And that's just a combination of size plus athleticism that he doesn't have. But that's the thing is, like, if you have guys that are keeping dudes in front, like, I think he's okay as a center. It's just, you know, against the best teams in the league, they'll find ways to attack. So, you probably don't want that as like a legitimate permanent option. But, you know, we're missing Ayton and Williams in this game. It's nice to have a dude that can like step in and rebound and provide some things at that position. I mean, 6 offensive rebounds in 28 minutes, and he's undersized compared against who he's going against. I mean, and he's not like athletic flying and grabbing them. I mean, that's just heart and hustle.
To be fair, I think at least 3 of those were he like shoots it off the front of the rim and grabs it and puts it back in, or gets blocked and then grabs it and puts it back in. But props him for staying with the play.
Takes hustle to follow up your own shot, you know? Like, I thought...
For sure. I'm not saying
he was the hardest play. Yeah. He was the hardest playing guy on the court tonight, I think. I mean, maybe you could say there, you know, like Tamani is in the conversation with him, and, you know, a couple other guys played their asses off too. Thibault played pretty hard today too, but man, like Jabari just leaves it all out there, and I love it. And we've talked about his 3-point shooting, and when he hits threes, he's good. He's driving more, he's finishing more, he's using his body to finish, because it's not like he's going to out jump guys. I felt like early in his career, early last season, actually the majority of last season, when he got to the rim, like he would try and rush it and beat the shot blocker, and he'd get his shot blocked, and now he's just like putting his body into the shot blocker. He's not even rushing him, he's just putting his body into the guy and finishing, which is how he has to finish. And when you look at a couple of younger guys on this team, like, they need to learn how to do that. You know who really needs to learn how to do that? He doesn't have the strength to do that, but Repair, you know, like, he got blocked in a game today because he just tries to float it up there. Like, in the NBA, unless you're the quickest or the bounciest in the league, like, if you're not one of those guys, you got to be able to use your body. So Jabari's been doing that, and it's paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. Jabari was fantastic. He actually finished with 19.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's not what the box score says.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah, it does. Okay, 19 and 10 for Jabari. Okay, broadcast was saying 16 and 10. Huh, yeah, it does. Weird.
He scored. He was in garbage time at the end. He scored. I can't remember if he had a 3 or an and 1, but yeah, he scored right at the end. Yeah, man, the energy tonight was just on another level, and that's all you can really hope for when you have a bad team. But I thought on the flip side, Utah's energy was terrible. I don't know if that was us just getting to them early or what, but I felt like Utah, I don't know if they're already checked out or what. Like you said, they played some close games against some good teams, but I was not impressed with how hard they competed tonight.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, like, Laurie's a star. He ended up with 24, but, like, he had a very slow start to this game when, like, Utah couldn't get anything going. Like, Utah, 46 points in the first half. Laurie got most of his points there in the second half, and it was basically something where, like, he's not a great off the dribble, like, give him the ball, get out of the way, he'll go make something happen type of guy. And I feel like you kind of saw that. Like, we did a good job not letting him get the ball. He wasn't cutting us to death. He wasn't getting open off threes. And I felt like it became a situation in the first half where, like, at times maybe they were looking to feed him, couldn't. The offense was getting bogged down because of it. Because he's their guy. They run a ton through him. And when they struggle to get him the ball, like, it's basically just give the ball to Jordan Clarkson, get out of the way. Or give the ball to John Collins, get out of the way. But those guys aren't stars. And I felt like they got bogged down in the first half and just got sloppy because of it. Clarkson, 7 turnovers. Even Markkanen, 2 turnovers. Olynyk, 3 turnovers. 21 on the night. I heard 24, man. My ears are lying to me. I need to change the graphic, but oh well, I don't care. 21 turnovers on the night, and it's just their offense got sloppy. Their offense got bogged down. I thought they got very stagnant at times, and I think, part of it is they don't have many guys that can do a whole lot. Part of it, I think, though, was Portland did a good job denying guys off the ball without getting back cut and kept the ball in front of them, too, and just kind of got Utah stuck in the mud in a way like we've seen the Blazers offense be all season, because that's what we've usually seen on our side. It was nice to see it on the other side for a change. So credit to just collective team defense.
Yeah, Utah played like I thought they would play last year.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. They might already be in tank mode.
Yeah, but what are they tanking for? I mean, they've been competitive in games until now, so I don't think so. But maybe.
Maybe it's just an off night for them. Like Clarkson did not seem like he wanted to be in Portland today.
Did he go out to the Portland strip clubs last night? Is that what it was?
I don't know what happened, but I don't know. He just seemed really disinterested in playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Other impressive performances individually from this game that stood out to you? I mean, we haven't talked about Jeremy Grant yet, and he was insanely good.
He had, 30 points? I thought he played well. He's been hitting his three pretty consistently for the last handful of games, which is good to see. Getting to the line a decent amount every game. Obviously if he's shooting a high percentage, he's definitely a very positive player. I thought this was a good all-around game from him on both ends.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, we want him to look as good as possible come trade deadline time, assuming we try and shop him in 10 for 13, 5 for 6 from 3. Like, he's hitting the 3-ball. Start of the season, he was not shooting threes well. And I figured he'd have a hot stretch where he started to knock them down and got his percentage back up, and he's in one of those hot stretches right now. The thing is, we know it won't last. He will have another slump. And that's really where he's at as a player right now. It's just like when he's hitting threes, he's really good. When he's not hitting threes, like, he can still maybe drive, but the defenders don't give him as much respect as when he's knocking down everything from three, so it's a little harder to beat guys off the dribble. And, it's just when he's hitting threes, like, everything seems to come together for him. And today I thought he did a good job, like, not dominating the ball. I thought a lot of his offense came off the ball. He did a better job playing the flow of things. Now, some of it is he's not relied upon to do everything because he has some guards out there that can do things. But, I thought at the start of the season, he was very ball dominant. He was very ISO heavy, and today was maybe his best game, just kind of playing in the flow of things and getting his without dominating the ball, without stopping the ball.
Yeah, it seems like we have a good flow to where we get kickouts to shooters. Now, up until this game, we haven't done a good job of hitting those kickouts.
Yeah.
But I think Jeremy, as long as he's not in a bad shooting slump, is one of the more capable shooters on the team. So instead of forcing some of those shots, I'd much rather see him give the ball up and then relocate to a good spot and have maybe a potential kickout opportunity, which he had several of tonight.
Yep. So we'll talk more about trades when we get closer. Like, people asking what we'd want back. I mean, it's just rebuilding assets, picks, and or young players. The best combination of both is really what we're looking for, and specific types of young players will be more valued for this Portland Trailblazer organization than others. Like, we're going to value forwards more than guards. But yeah, it's just an interesting spot because you got a couple of forwards right now that are impressive in terms of doing little things and playing defense and rebounding and that sort of stuff with Jabari Walker and Toumani Camara. But the question mark is, can they shoot threes well enough? Because if they aren't good enough three-point shooters, then it becomes a challenge to play them heavy minutes on a team like trying to legitimately win. But if they are, it's easy to play them on maybe any team in the league. Like, if Toumani Camara is hitting 37% of his threes, he's instantly one of the better 3-and-D options in the league at the forward spot. So that's really what we need to find out this year is, can those guys consistently knock down threes? Not like Nasir Little, where they'll have a hot shooting week and then have a week where he like is 0 for 3 every game, and just all over the map, where he has stretches where he's so bad that teams don't respect him, but at the end of the season, you look at it, he's 35, 36, 37%, but it's not consistent, it's just on hot stretches, where when he's really struggling, teams don't really respect it a whole lot, because in those situations, if that happens during a playoff series, teams will just start leaving him open. So you got to be able to consistently make defenses respect you from the three-point line, and that is absolutely the key with both Jabari and Tamani. And that's kind of the question right now, is like, if those guys, can those guys hit threes? And then based on how well they can hit threes, are they better than other young forward options we're bringing in via trade? Because then maybe it becomes we're looking for something a little bit different from a potential Jeremy Grant trade if we're looking for young pieces, or a Malcolm Brogdon trade if we're looking for pieces. That's why I probably like picks a little bit more, because they're easier to move down the line. They're in the future. They're not players that you have to get reps, have to get minutes, and it gives the Blazers more time to kind of really figure out what they have in Jabari and Tamani, both of whom are playing minutes right now, playing great, but you still don't know exactly where they are over the course of half a season or an entire season in terms of shooting the three ball.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's more like aspirings that I want. Like you said, I think picks are better than players that you need to find minutes for. But yeah, expirings, if you're going to take on someone with the contract past this season, I think you have to get extra compensation for doing so. And if you don't, I think that's kind of the wrong way to approach it.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a few more donos I think
we got one more donation from Colonel Pancakes, $5 donation. Shout out to Colonel Pancakes, man. Says Jabari Walker is my Bryant Grant player comparison, and nobody will change my mind. Eric knows.
Yeah, I mean, he's not as good as Brian Grant, obviously. Brian Grant was legit. I don't know if he ever averaged 20 and 10, but like, he could have if he was on a team where he was more like getting more opportunities. But yeah, I mean, you need those hustle guys and the guys that make all the little plays and stuff like that. And I definitely think Jabari is that type. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted him out of Colorado.
Yep. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate it, bro. And any other players you kind of want to dive in on right now while we got the time?
Well, before we get into that, so someone in chat says, weren't you all sad because the team is bad? Then let's trade to make the team worse.
Okay, so okay, I'll answer this. It sucks being in rebuild mode, but that doesn't mean that we should short circuit the rebuild, Yeah, like it's basically a necessary struggle at this point. So yes, the struggle sucks and it sucks to cover, but if it results in the team being better in 3 years, then guess what? We're going to eat in 3 years. We're going to have a ton of fun in 3 years, right? I don't want to sit here with the struggle, right? And like try and do everything to maybe be a 10th seed and then lose in the play-in and struggle that way, while also making it so we're not as good 3 years from now, so that we're still struggling 3 years from now. So it's in the short term, it sucks. In the long term, it's beneficial. So there's just a difference between that. And that's why you talk about like trading guys like Grant, trading guys like Brogdon. It's to try and get better in the long run, because we're not good enough now to do anything impactful, even if we keep those guys. So, it's more so about, can we be good at a point in time in the next 5 years, and putting all our assets and chips towards maximizing the window where we do have a chance, which isn't right now. It's in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, completely agree. Everything is about development now that you decided to rebuild. Now, neither of us were happy that we went that route. And this is the thing, though. Like, so Anthony gets hurt. Scoot gets hurt, and we're watching Malcolm and before he got hurt and Jeremy jack up like 20 shots. There was a couple games where they took like 20 shots, right? And that's the kind of stuff. It's like it doesn't really help us get to that next step in 2 or 3 years, like you're talking about. So that's where I was getting frustrated was when we were getting blown out. They're taking a bunch of shots, and there's no real schemes, or we're not really doing much differently on defense, things like that. So today, when they're actually, doing things, and it was against, like I said, a team that didn't seem to care that much, but you can actually see stuff like Scoot comes into play. So now we can watch Scoot's development and talk about him for 20 minutes as well on the post-game shows. So it's more about like just the way things were going down. And I don't think there's been many points this season once everyone got hurt that it's like, oh wow, this is really an awesome way to rebuild or whatever, like watching Jeremy take 25 shots or whatever. Like I'd much rather be giving those shots to like Jabari, let him try to create and see if he can develop that throughout the season, or let Kamara run some of the offense and see if he can become like a point forward or something, like those kind of things. So like that's where I'm at. I just don't want them to be bad while also creating bad habits and also developing guys who aren't probably going to be here past the season.
Yep, 100%. So a lot of our roster building talks are based upon trying to maximize the chance of winning a championship in the next decade. So it's not short term like, dang, this sucks that we are bad now. Like, we need to try and win more games right now because we don't like losing. It's more so we don't like losing, but we want to win a championship more than anything. That's what takes precedent. That's why development takes precedent. That's why trading those guys should take precedent. Because in 3 years, like, if this is our core and we just keep everything intact, we're not contenders. The way we get to contention is by adding to our core with players that will hopefully be better than Brogdon, better than Grant. If we have the number 1 overall pick right now, I'd take Alex Sarr. The hope would be that he's a more impactful player than Jeremy Grant on both ends of the floor. It's going to take some time, but this draft also is a little bit more questionable. But if the Blazers suck in 2025, like if they can get lucky and get Cooper Flagg, right? I mean, that's a more impactful player with superstar upside, right? Like that's the type of guy who can be the next Dame or the next superstar, the next core of the franchise, the next core player. So being able to get that, if you sacrifice a little bit in the short term and pick up assets and increase your likelihood of getting that, like logically it's the best way to try and win a championship in the next 10 years. Now, I don't like going into seasons like, yeah, we're going to like purposely suck or purposely tank as the mindset entering a season. I think it's better if you're in that situation, just focus on the development of the young players. And if they develop really well and win you a bunch of games, then you're on the right track regardless because those young players are turning into something. But if they're struggling, then you kind of hedge your bets because, well, these young players are struggling. That means you're probably picking at the top of the draft if you're just relying on your young players and focused on developing them compared to having a bunch of vets that are taking a bunch of minutes, taking a bunch of shots, and maybe carrying you to a more middling record where you're winning 35, 37, 39 games instead of 28 and maybe sacrificing the young players in the process. So it's a multifaceted sort of mindset towards maximizing that window in the future. There's a lot to it. It cannot be simplified down to, oh, well, you guys are upset that we're losing now. Why would you want to trade players that make us better now? That's too oversimplified. So,
well, also it's like you watch Shaden Sharp play 40+ minutes those games early in the season, and you're like, what are we doing? Like it just seemed like they were trying to win games, even with the injuries, even with everything. And so it's frustrating when you're trying to win and it's looking bad on the court. Like if there were like once the seasons were pretty much um, like known, it was known we weren't making the playoffs the last couple of years. Like that's fine then. Like I don't know. Like I'm cool with watching a team be well. I'm not cool with it, but like it's okay for the team to be garbage like it was at the end of last season and 2 seasons ago if there's like a purpose to it. But like if you're starting off a season and you're garbage right away at the start of a season and you're not really doing things to, in my mind, like make it so this team like it will struggle for a while, but once they figure this out, it's going to be really good. I felt like they were just kind of trying to do everything they could with like Brogdon and Grant to win games. And I don't know if that was necessarily the best strategy, but it seems like now that Scoot's back, that they won't rely as much on Brogdon, and that'll help a lot.
Yeah, there's a very interesting trade idea that I hadn't thought about regarding Jeremy Grant in the chat, and that is Golden State. Actually, I had gone through teams and just kind of like glossed over Golden State, like maybe that's not a destination for him, but they're struggling to score the ball.
Do we want to help them out when we own their pick?
But here's my thing. If their pick is like late lottery, and if part of the trade we could get their pick unprotected at the deadline when they're late lottery and there's no guarantee they make the playoffs, is that worth it? Maybe it makes the pick a little bit worse, but also like maybe if they continue to struggle, like if it ends up in the top 4, we'd get it. Or is that even worth it as part of a trade? Is that even valuable at all? They do have other assets that could be of interest though. So, it's not even like that has to be the main thing. Like that is basically very secondary to something else we'd have to get back from them. I assume the salary matcher would be Chris Paul, which he has how much guaranteed next year? I'm actually looking it up. $15.8 million guaranteed next year. Our salary, we're probably not going to have cap space. I don't really know. That does throw a little bit of a wrench into it, but I think we could maybe eat that for a year. And just waive him and just eat that. I wouldn't stretch that hit. I would just eat it for a year. I don't know. Like there's
no stretching right now while you're rebuilding, please.
Yeah, no stretching. Like if they stretch that cap hit, that'd be such a mistake. Like they're not going to have cap space next year that's meaningful, and they're not going to sign anybody meaningful. You cut Chris Paul and save the money below the tax, so you have more room to make unbalanced trades or use exceptions or whatever. But you look at like Chris Paul plus, maybe you could get Kuminga thrown in there, like Chris Paul, Kuminga, and them making their pick unprotected if they're in the late lotto. Like, is that intriguing?
Yeah, I don't know. Depends on what other teams are offering, but I mean that's not bad.
Yeah. And then I mean, like if you were lucky enough, maybe you could get another pick out of that. Like maybe you get a future pick. It would be very protected. But Golden State's the type of team that like they are in win now mode but struggling, and they're not looking towards the future when it's like they're all in on the present like they have been for the last almost decade. They still have Steph, Clay, Draymond. The problem is Clay's been struggling. Draymond's not really a scorer. Like they need another scoring punch to be legitimate right now.
Yeah, I just don't know if they go after Grant over. They might go all out for Siakam or something like that.
Yeah,
But that might be hard to get the assets though. But maybe Toronto likes Kuminga. I don't know.
I could see them really valuing a Jeremy Grant type of player, though, like somebody that can score the ball that way, that they can, envision buying into their system and, being that guy. Like, imagine Jeremy Grant slipping screens for Steph and being open, like, with Draymond passing the ball. Like, I feel like they could get him to play a different style of basketball that would really fit their system, just like they did with Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, it's possible, I guess.
So, that's an interesting landing spot for him.
Speaking of trades, there was another donation by
JD to Dev. Shout out to JD. Appreciate you, JD. $5 donation from JD says, since Story mentioned he's okay with trade talks with, what kind of return are we hoping for when it comes to Grant, Brogdon, and anyone else? Sorry if we talked about it. Appreciate the donation, appreciate the question. My dream for Grant plus Brogdon in total is 3 first-round picks worth of value. Like 3 average first-round picks worth of value. That's my hope. I feel like more realistic is 2, especially given Grant's contract, but, I mean... These guys are putting up numbers, Eric. Like, if Joe Cronin can sell these guys properly, I mean, maybe they're worth more than a first apiece. Maybe you can get 2 first-round picks for one of them.
I think you can because I don't know. I don't think there's going to be a ton of sellers.
Yeah,
and even if there are. I mean, name a team that's going to be trading like better players than Brogdon and Jeremy. So I can't really think of one right now. I mean, there might be some teams that blow it up, but like Houston, let's just say Houston isn't in the play-in race by the deadline. And they're like, okay, we made a mistake signing Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks or whatever. Let's trade them. Are they getting more in the open market than Brogdon and Jeremy?
No, I mean, because Van Vliet's making like twice as much as Brogdon, and I'm not sure he's all that much better, you know?
Yeah, so I really think that if you play it right, and bid teams against each other, it's going to be kind of like the Drew Holiday situation. Now it'll be just salary fill or whatever, so we won't get like 2 good players and picks or whatever. But I definitely think, I mean, it's probably not 2 unprotected picks or anything like that, but I could definitely see a scenario where we get, 2 lightly protected picks from someone for both of them.
Yeah, lightly protected. I don't know if I'd go lightly protected. It depends on the protections. I don't know. Who's a team that you could see given 2 lightly protected first for Brogdon? And I'll throw it up here on the trade machine too.
Well, one of the teams that I thought can't anymore, and that's the Clippers.
Yeah.
Well, injuries will still factor into this a lot. Unfortunately, I was thinking about Minnesota, but I don't think they can trade.
No, they don't have first. This is kind of the problem.
Yeah.
Like when we really dive into it, is a lot of teams can't trade anything.
I think the Heat would, but I don't know if they're or Cronin. I don't know if Cronin or Pat Riley is trading with each other.
Brogdon would make so much sense for them, bro.
Yeah.
They need another point guard and somebody that can maybe play some too.
Yeah, he'd be really good for them. And they have contracts to match. Yeah.
Does chat have any good ones?
Yeah. I don't think the Pacers are going to be interested in him.
I could see.
I think he fits on the Lakers too.
Yeah, the Lakers are a really good destination for one of the two. The problem is what are you getting back? Brogdon makes more sense because he's making less. So let's just do the Lakers. Let's do.
What we need to have happen is, it's fine to do this, but there was rumors that Houston wanted Brogdon or whatever. We need a team like that has a bunch of assets that and doesn't have trouble matching salary, like be in the playoff race, and then them thinking they need another piece to make the playoffs or whatever.
Yeah, it's just hard to find like the ideal landing spot for some of these guys. I think Orlando is a playoff team, it looks like, this year. Really good defense, but need a little bit more of an offensive punch. I don't know. They have a lot of guards, though, is the problem. And are they ready to trade first? So it's hard to find specific landing spots. What I wanted to illustrate, if we found a good landing spot, was like Brogdon to a team for a couple of firsts. And then maybe we flip whatever salary that team's trading to Chicago and take back Lonzo Ball and get our first back. I am all on board with, if we're trading Brogdon or Grant, whatever a team is trading for those guys in terms of salary, sending it to Chicago and taking back Lonzo Ball, especially if it's expiring salary. Because I know you said getting back expiring salary would be nice, but like Lonzo Ball, I think could make sense as a third guard next year. But if not, like you just literally, he's just an expiring contract. And if we can get our pick back and just like kind of solve that problem for the future, because if we're a lottery team, we're still going to owe a future pick. Like even 3 years from now, we'd still owe a future pick if we don't make the playoffs. So solving that problem is good. And I think Lonzo Ball presents an opportunity where he's out for the season, might never be healthy enough to play again. Like who knows? And you could, like, Chicago's entering a rebuild. They probably just want a clean slate this summer. And when you look at us in our situation, they never know when that pick's going to convey. So maybe if you can just get a couple seconds, 2-3 seconds, flip them Chicago's way, take back Lonzo Ball's salary, get the first back, that can be a part of a bigger trade where you're also getting 2 other firsts from whatever team is trading for Brogdon. So that's kind of something that I'm looking at, where if you can get a couple of firsts for either Grant or Brogdon and then also get our first back, if we just give up a couple seconds and just take on Lonzo Ball for that, I mean, that's a huge win. Solves a problem, gets extra additional picks. Then we have all our future picks. We have Golden State's pick this year. We have a 2029 Boston first, a 2029 Milwaukee first, and then a couple other firsts on top of that. All of a sudden, we have a decent amount of assets. We have all our own picks. We have an expiring salary going into the offseason that is tradable to match, an expiring salary next trade deadline that is an expiring to match salary, and we just have some flexibility. We have some avenues we can go from there. So throw in Chicago into a deal like that when they're looking to kind of blow it up and wipe the deck clean. I think this is the perfect time to do that this season.
Yeah, completely agree. I just had another team that would be good that we hadn't talked about. Taylor brought him up. The Kings.
Yeah, I was looking at them a little bit.
I think the Kings might make because that's one of those teams where like they had success last year, right? And so now they're like, okay, we need to take a jump. But like if they're kind of hovering around, middle of the, or maybe like, 5th or 6th instead of the 3rd like they were last year, or maybe even in the play-in area, they might want to make a jump to go in. And
you know what the tough part is with them? Is what salary do they trade to match? Like which players do they give up to match? Because they don't have guys like a Davis Bertans expiring or anything like that where they'll throw that in just cause. And speaking of Bertans, OKC is an option too. I mean, they look great, so who knows what they could be in play for, and they got 1 million picks, so they could be in play for anything or nothing. Who knows? But like Harrison Barnes and Keegan Murray have struggled this year, so I could see them maybe trying to make a play for Jeremy Grant. So it's probably Harrison Barnes and then I don't know, Trey Lyles, but I feel like they value Lyles a little bit. He was solid for them last year. Like, are they willing to give up 2 firsts plus Harrison Barnes to go from Barnes to Grant? I don't know. That's questionable.
I heard because they were, for those that don't remember this, the Kings actually signed Levine to an offer sheet a few years ago. And I heard they actually were talking about going all in for Levine.
I mean, if they're the favorite to trade for Levine, in my opinion. They're the favorite. I mean, it's literally Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, like, picks. I don't know what combination, but it's something like that. Or maybe it's Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray. Maybe it's Kevin Hurt or Keegan Murray.
What was Barnes' extension?
He's making $17 million this year.
It's like
3 years.
354 or something.
3 years, yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, they can match Brogdon easier.
Yeah.
It's so weird because.
But here's the thing: would they really want Brogdon when they got Herter and Monk? Like, is that enough of a jump to justify? Like, they need help at the forward spots right now. Their forwards have been underwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't mean teams won't be dumb though.
Yeah. I'm just always gonna try and think about it logically. I don't know. I feel like they would just rather just roll with what they got and use their assets on a front court piece.
Yeah.
So that's why I think Jeremy Grant makes more sense for them. Like, Jeremy Grant makes more money, so it becomes a little different in terms of trying to match salary for a team. But what about Anthony Simons? Because that's what probably like 3 people, maybe 10 people watching this are wondering. Do you think we trade Ant? Is there any chance we trade any of our 3 guards this year? Like, what's the percentage chance you'd put on it?
I think it's 0% for Scoot and Sharp.
Yeah.
Unless something happens. I'd say during this season, I think it's like less than 5% that we trade Anthony.
It's just an interesting conundrum because we just talked about the Kings, and they, of course, traded Halliburton for Sabonis, and it shocked people. Like, people didn't think they were going to trade Halliburton, but they had Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox. And I think that was maybe a good move for Halliburton to become the point guard in Indiana, whereas, like, he was cast as a shooting guard in Sacramento, because now he's maybe the best passer in the league, best passing point guard in the league, but he's also a scorer. I mean, he's phenomenal. But they, due to positions, they swapped Halliburton out for like a somewhat young player in a front court spot. Is there a trade that presents itself where it's like, we are willing to listen to trading Sharp because we're getting a similar prospect, but it's a front court piece? That's something that I wonder if Scoot, starts to play well and Ant comes back and looks like a freaking star. I don't think there's really any chance of that happening, but I can't say there's a 0% chance we trade Sharp this year because, I would have thought there's like a 0% chance the Kings trade Halliburton. Like, that trade was shocking. I mean,
but
I don't know. But they were ready to compete, so it's a different situation.
Right.
But we're starting to rebuild, so like that's why I think it's basically next to 0. Like, I do not think in any way, shape, or form Sharp gets traded, but that maybe there's a team that is in love with him that is willing to trade a front court piece that the Blazers are higher on. Like, you never know, but the Blazers are super high on their own players, so that's why I don't think it happens. It's just interesting to think about Sacramento's situation, how they moved on just to balance positions. Normally you don't see that with young players, but Sacramento did it. It's kind of worked out for both teams, but I still think Sacramento should not have done it because I think Halliburton's the better player, for what it's worth.
Man, what if you could go back right now? Okay, you can't. You obviously can't get this value right now based on how he's played and being injured and stuff. But if you could go back, Dame's still gone. You got everything, like everything else happened exactly the same. But you could basically trade the 3rd pick for any rebuilding player or package you wanted. Because you know how, like, all the trades around the 3rd pick were all, at least for us, were related to winning with Dame, right?
Yeah.
So let's just say you could trade the 3rd pick for more of a player that fit with Simons and Sharp after. Would you do that, or do you still believe in Scoot enough to, or is it still too early to answer that question?
I mean, it depends on what the package is, of course, but like a SAR, I think, would have been a phenomenal phenomenal fit in a number of ways next to Sharp and Simons defensively.
So if
Asar's been phenomenal. Like a trade down from 3 to 5 and you get something else. Like the thing is, Detroit, has a bunch of guards, so they probably weren't really looking to do that.
Yeah.
But that is something that would be intriguing because I think Asar would be really intriguing as a wing fit next to Sharp and Ant.
So 3 for 5 and Ivy to another team for another couple first or something. Like that kind of move.
I don't want to say I would do it. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, the guy I was thinking about was Bancaro, but I don't think Magic would have traded him. But
no,
just that kind of move,
No, I would trade Scoot for Bancaro in a heartbeat easily.
Yeah. I don't think many would have before the draft, though. That would have been an interesting question pre-draft.
Yeah, we just gotta find that forward dynamic offensive piece. The problem is, also need versatile defenders. But you look at Tatum, you look at Bancaro, you look at some of these good young teams. What do they got? They got a guy like that. Orlando has 2. They got Franz Wagner too. So you look at obviously Giannis in Milwaukee, right? Denver's built a little differently. They don't really have that guy. But I think they got that guy at a center spot, though. They got Jokic, right? We just don't have that dynamic front court piece. We got some good role guys. Grant, I guess, is somewhat of an offensive threat at the forward position. He's just not, dynamic in that way. He's just a scorer. Tatum, Bancaro, they score and they make plays for others. And they make the right read. And they can consistently handle the ball and basically do anything on offense, and it becomes a problem of, okay, so do we set a double team at him or do we let him go one-on-one? And both can give teams problems. With Grant, it's I don't think he's quite that level where you need to send double teams to him, but also if you do send double teams to him, it's hard to have faith that Grant will make the right pass or make the right play, right? So he's not a ball handler like that. Mm-hmm. You basically, the term big guard is a thing, right? Bancaro in a way is like a big guard. Tatum in a way is like a big guard. Giannis even in a way is like a big guard because he can just handle the ball, bring the ball up the court, and then just drive on people, drive and dish or drive and finish, right? He's dynamic. So we need that dynamic front court piece. The problem is this year's draft, I don't think has any of them. The only guy right now that I could see being that dynamic big front court piece is Alex Sarr. You look at a lot of good young teams. Wemby in San Antonio, Chet in OKC. There's big guards and then there's big forwards in a way. Wemby and Chet are big forwards where they can basically do anything. So we need one of those types of guys in the future. Cooper Flagg is one of those guys. Cooper Flagg changes the entire equation.
Yep.
Maybe Ace Bailey can be one of those guys. I don't know. I haven't watched him because he's still in high school, but he has size. I think he's the second-ranked player in that class right now, so we'll see.
Man, I was so, I know I brought it up, but I was so hoping that it was just obvious that Scoot was the right pick, this year, and
yeah, I mean, he could still be. I'm not worried necessarily about Scoot. I'm a little lower on him, but not by a ton. I don't know. There's reasons why he's struggling. So, but the thing is, even if he ends up being great, we probably still need that big dynamic forward front court piece, right?
Yeah.
Can you really make it happen just based off Sharp, Scoot, and Ant? Maybe. It's just having that big talented front court piece gives teams matchup problems and is just harder to defend when you have a guy like that and a good guard. Mm-hmm. So.
Oh, I was so I listened to this show, but I got kind of behind listening to it, and so I was like a couple months almost behind.
Yeah.
But I can listen to stuff at work now, and so I'm getting caught up. But I recently this week just listened to the show around when Dame was traded, and the narrative was that we found that elite front court player in the trade. And that's DeAndre.
Who said that? Who said that? What?
What?
Whose show are you listening to here?
Well, they had a special guest on that day. I don't want to call him out or anything, but he said that Blazers were looking for an elite, dynamic, star front court player, in a Dame trade that was under 25, and they got him.
Chat, who said this? Chat, who said this? I know what show it is now because it is the show. I also don't like what they went with the name of their show because now I just think of a former coach and kind of don't like that they went with the name of a former coach for their show. But bro, how in the world is DeAndre Ayton that dynamic piece? What? The thing is, all those dynamic just what? Have people not watched DeAndre Ayton before? Like, what the hell are these people talking about? Oh my god.
So for the record, I do not watch that show. I listened to a different show that I've listened to. It's been on the and they had him on a guest because his show is right before their show on this radio station.
Yeah. So Man Durang said Ayton is that piece.
Yeah, and he also said that Ayton was lied to, that he could have been an elite player, but sacrificed everything to do what they wanted him to do as a role player, and that he would show when he got to Portland that he was that player.
What the hell are we talking about,
dude,
bro?
I was sitting there like, what the heck are you talking about, dude? Like, I didn't want to like bag on him, but like, yeah.
I mean, it's just a bad take. It's just an awful take.
The other part of that is, I mean, like, anyone who doesn't think we couldn't have gotten Ayton outside of a Dame trade too, like, I don't get why so many people include that as part of the trade.
It's just blowing smoke up Cronin's ass is what it is. It's just kissing his ass. Like,
yeah.
Because people are credentialed and they talk to Mr. Cronin and they're friends with Cronin. Like, if I listen to a media member, I don't want him to be friends with the GM. Right? If I listen to a reporter, I don't want them to be buddy-buddy with the GM. I just don't. My personal preference, and there's reasons for that I think are kind of obvious. How in the hell is DeAndre Ayton one of those types of guys? He doesn't handle the ball. He doesn't pass the ball. He doesn't shoot threes. He doesn't put any pressure on the rim. He's shot 9 free throws in 14 games. How is he anything like a big dynamic front court player? Rant time.
Oh.
We're in a win and it's rant time. We're in a win and it's rant time. I just feel like I just knocked something over because it's rant time. I just feel like there's just players that, like, the ideas of them are always that they're like much better than they are, and people who don't watch them enough get sucked into the idea of them. So then they have all these grand visions and ideas of how a certain guy is much better than he actually is because they don't sit down and actually watch them regularly enough.
Yeah. So
frustrates me.
And I quote, Ayton is every bit the number one pick talent-wise and worth every penny of his contract. And then went on to say he was an elite rim-protecting defensive center that's going to completely transform the defense.
What?
Yeah.
What? I wish I had the Russell Westbrook meme clipped and I wish I could play right now. What the hell are we talking about, bro? I mean, this is why you guys tune into this show. That's all I'm gonna say.
And then he also said that he said that Ayton was lied to by the Phoenix front office, and that gave him every right to pout. Yet those guys have been saying pretty much all summer that the front office didn't lie to Dame. Whatever, like you said, they've taken the GM side.
What the hell are we talking about? Yeah, I mean, okay. All right. I mean, I fully, yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised, but also, what the hell are we talking about? This is wild. Anyway,
yeah. So that I was just like, okay, that's the complete opposite side of this trade.
Dude, he's shooting less than he did in Phoenix. So what? We lied? Did we lie to him? No, we could never lie to a player, right? I mean, Ayton is scoring like 5 less points per 100 possessions than Nurkic did last year for us. And his true shooting percentage is lower than Nurkic's was last year for us. And his assist percentage is lower. And his rebound percentage is lower.
Well, as people are pointing out in chat, there are also the people who would rag on Nurk for pouting all the time, but it was okay for Ayton to do it.
I mean, it's just the problem is with that show, they just have biases because of who they're buddy with, which is Joe Cronin, and then they have player biases, like the way they play favorites is just frustrating. I know people can accuse us of playing favorites with a guy like Nurk, but I mean, I was the one sitting there all year like, yeah, Ayton's a little bit better than Nurk, but it's not a noticeable difference. Meanwhile, people are saying Nurk sucks and Ayton would be a godsend. Well, I mean, like, Ayton's production has not been better than Nurkic's production last year for us. Now, Nurk got to play with Damian Lillard, so there's some context that is involved there, but it's just like, what was I saying last year? Is Ayton doesn't take it to the rim against defense. That's why his finishing numbers look so good, because he only shoots open dunks or open layups that get fed to him. Right? Where he doesn't try and take it in against the defense, so he doesn't shoot tough shots around the rim. He shoots a lot of mid-ranges, and while he shoots an okay percentage there, when you settle for them over trying to get to the rim as a big man, you're not getting to the free throw line as much. We've seen that play out this year. And you're not getting higher percentage shots, because even if you shoot 60% at the rim instead of 80% at the rim, it's still better than 50% from mid-range. So people would look at Nurk's finishing numbers from 0 to 3 feet and compare them against other centers. Oh, they struggled. But Nurk tries to get to the rim against some centers. Sometimes he tries too hard and shoots some BS at the rim. But at least he tries. So that's what always baffled me about the Nurk is too finesse and too soft arguments. We need Ayton. Because it's just, I think Ayton exemplifies that more, to be honest. Ayton's okay. It's just he's not what people chalk him up to be. And that's my biggest gripe. It's not even necessarily with Ayton. It's with his contract. He was overpaid. And it's with what people chalk him up to be, because he ain't that. He ain't that. I think even the biggest Ayton fans will disagree with Ayton being that big, dynamic shot creator.
Whoa. Did you manifest Shervin showing up in our...
What? Because I brought him up, what? Was that earlier today? Or was that last night?
I think that was last night. No,
yeah.
What's up,
First
Shervin?
time I mentioned Shervid in months, and then he shows up the stream after. Maybe he watched it back and was like, I gotta show up in chat. I don't know. Or maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe. But hey, you see, he still has that 2-year member badge, so he's still a real one.
Yeah.
He's still a part of the Uprise cult. If you guys want to become a part of the Uprise cult, click the join button.
Did you see the Sam Vecini tweets last night?
Yeah, I think I retweeted them.
Yeah.
Do
you want me to read them for people who didn't?
Yeah, read them. Since we're already talking about Ayton,
yeah, okay.
Not to bag too much on Ayton, man, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty neutral on Ayton so far. So I'm not either good or bad. I think it's ridiculous if people thought he was going to be the savior, and I also think it's ridiculous if people think some people in chat did say he's done nothing this year and stuff. He's been fine.
He needs to do more, but yeah, he's been okay.
But this is, and like nothing to do with Nurk, but Booker had those comments last night that you read them on air, that his challenge to Ayton was to play like that every night, play hard every night. And Sam says, respect the hell out of Booker for saying this. Ayton's been a tough watch this year, refuses to impose his will and physicality on the game, even more so than it was in Phoenix. And then he followed it up with, seriously, watch Ayton set screens. And he put screens in quotation marks because he doesn't really set them. And watch what happens after them. It's wild. Just nothing there so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rico, come on, man.
I mean, yeah, I think he's spitting. And then you got Dro with a $5 Drono. Shout out to Dro. Appreciate it, Dro. Dro was at the game last night in Phoenix, and Dro says, I was sitting very close last night against Phoenix. Roy Rogers facepalmed at least 10 times because of Ayton's low energy when he was needed. Nurkic greater than Ayton. So, Dro's experience last night at the Phoenix Suns game. Thank you, Dro. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know. Like, I didn't want this to become a bagging against Ayton thing. He didn't play tonight, and we won. But it's just people hyped him up way too much. Way too much. So it's like, part of me wants to just hold him to the level that people hyped him up to be. Because he is not close to what people acted like he was. And if I hold him to that standard, every single game I'm going to be bagging on him. Because he's not that player. That's kind of the problem. It's just there's these guys that the fan base or certain podcasts fall in love with, and then the fan base, sections of the fan base, fall in love with them too because their favorite podcast likes them, right? And that's how you get Jeremy Grant, who's supposed to be like the best defender we've ever freaking had, because look at him lock down players in the bubble, and then he doesn't fix any problems. That's why DeAndre Ayton is not playing like an all-star that people said he was right now. The first overall, the comments about him this year, he was going to prove that he was worth the first overall pick and every penny of his max contract, is just insane. Just insane. He's just not that guy. He doesn't have the mindset. He doesn't have the temperament. And here's the thing. I feel like he blamed Phoenix for that when Phoenix wasn't in the wrong. Like, he got a large role on a winning team. He had guards that fed him. It wasn't like he was a guy that shot creates. I mean, he's had more of an opportunity this year, and
he got a max contract, and even though that's why they said that he had the right to pout, was because he wanted more money. It's like, you're on a max?
That doesn't even make sense, yeah.
I mean, yeah. See, I don't know if you heard the Ayton comments. They played an interview with him during the game today.
Yeah.
And he said that it's hard to be physical or like impose himself at the basket because it's so crowded in there. So he's just been taking what the defense is giving him and shooting the mid-range jumpers, which
he kind of has a bit of a point.
Yeah.
That doesn't apply in every situation where he's too finesse, though.
And that's why I said earlier on Blazers Uprise Live, when we were talking about Scoot coming back, that was before we knew that Ayton was going to not play in this game, which was a bummer. But I guess I'm going to give him a pass until I see him with actual pick and roll creators. Like, hopefully Scoot can be one of those guys, and we know Anthony probably will be. And we'll give it some time. But part of the reason why, if we struggle, it's like you're also not setting the greatest screens, and we're not using you as a roll man. So at some point, it feels like the coaching staff doesn't want to run pick and roll as heavy as they've run it in the past. And with our offense struggling as much as it has this season, to not run much pick and roll, to me, is a telltale sign that they're not 100% confident in Ayton as a roll man or setting good screens to open up those players, or that's his best role, and that's going to be difficult because you need. I mean, you don't want to be like as pick and roll heavy as we were with Dame necessarily, but you do need to have pick and roll in the NBA. Like you can't win without a good pick and roll game, especially in the playoffs when you have to like hunt certain matchups and stuff.
We should just let Ayton be the point guard and be the pick and roll ball handler, since he's just, every team holds him back, and he's really worth the number 1 overall pick, and he's a big guard, and he can do everything on the floor apparently. So we should just have Scoot set the screens, okay? Because Ayton's the 3-point shooter there, right? And Ayton can be the pick and roll ball handler, and then maybe Ayton can throw a lob to Scoot, right? Because like Paulo Banchero, he can run pick and roll, he can throw lobs, right? So let's see Ayton do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and once again, I'm gonna wait to see what he does when he has actual, because like, I mean, we talked about how, especially when Brogdon went out, we didn't really have many ball handlers that could really get.
But that's the problem. That's the entire point. Actually, is he needs to be fed.
Yeah,
he's not somebody that's going to get his own or create. That's the entire point. Is Tatum creates. If Tatum doesn't have guards, guess what? Oh, well, Tatum's going to create more. If Paulo Banchero doesn't have guards, guess what? Okay, well, ball's going to be in Paulo's hands. He's going to create. He's going to make stuff happen, or at least try. Like, he can handle. He can, hit a mid-range pull-up. He can drive. He can finish. He can pass. All these guys, it's like, it's not a situation where it's like they need guards that can feed them the ball because they're super talented, because they're dynamic. They can make things happen. And Ayton is just absolutely not that guy at all. He's just not even close. So to throw him in that conversation is just absolutely ludicrous. He has never even proven to be anything close to that. So it's baffling. So that's the thing, is when, Scoot's out and Ant's out and Brogdon's out, like, okay, well, Ayton isn't getting as many shots. We need to give Ayton more touches. It's just thinking about it in the wrong way. And it's what I always told Gabe, because Gabe's in here, when Gabe at times would be like, "Man, he should get 8 more touches." It's like, you don't run your offense through that guy. He's not that type of player. He's not good enough as a creator in any spot on the floor to justify just feeding him the ball over and over and over again.
I do think he's shown some ability to pass the ball this year. If you had designed cuts and designed actions off ball, where you're saying, okay, when you get the ball in the post, look for this guy curling, or this guy streaking down the middle of the paint, or this guy, we're going to set a flare screen for him, look for him in the far corner. I do think Ayton would look for those passes and not necessarily look to shoot or whatever. It's not like Carmelo, where, like, I don't think it's like that. So that might be something that they could look at, but that's always what's frustrated me, is that I feel like they could run a lot more structure inside out type game, and they never really seemed to do that. They didn't do it with Nurk either.
Yeah, but that's just running a set. That's just running a set. And like, most players in the NBA should be able to, like, if they have 2 options as part of a set, like, pick the right option based on something, So, some players can't, but that's the difference, is like, dynamic guys will just make live reads, and they'll just read the floor no matter what they're in. If they're in a set, if they're not in a set, if they're on the break, no matter where they have the ball, if they're running a pick and roll, like, they just read the game. They see the game, and they make the right decision. They make the right pass, or they take the right shot. And that's the thing, is you wouldn't trust Ayton to really handle the ball in the half court unless he's taking one dribble and then handing it off to the guard, or he has a wide open lane. Like, otherwise, like, you don't want him dribbling the ball. He doesn't dribble the ball. So it's just night and day, difference between those types of guys. And, I don't even disagree with your point about Ayton. Like, he can make the right pass and regards to, running a set. He had a nice feed to Tamani the first play of the OKC game, and got hyped about it. You love to see him make that sort of play. It's just. So if Portland envisioned him being that sort of guy, why haven't they tried to utilize him as that sort of guy?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the disconnect? Because they haven't tried to utilize him like that sort of guy. Ayton hasn't even tried to play like that sort of guy. Ayton practiced threes all offseason. He hasn't shot a single three. Like, there's just such a disconnect with Ayton that goes untalked about.
Yeah. Well, I will say they've been... I mean, if you have a guy who's willing to run or be a part of a free-flowing offense with a lot of ball movement and stuff, but you have to feed him inside to do it, I think that's easier than what they're doing with like Jeremy Grant right now and just like give him the ball and ISOing. And I know they didn't do a ton of it this game, but most of the season, and it's probably not getting passed out that game. So I do kind of wonder why they lean so heavy on other options and don't try to at least do what they said they wanted to do, and that was to have a free-flowing offense.
Yeah, I'll just say if you have to be fed on the majority of your offensive looks, then you are not a star. You're a role player. Like, there's maybe one or two guys that are the exception to the rule, like maybe a Lauri Markkanen. But the thing is, he can shoot threes. If he couldn't shoot threes, he would not be a star. So that's the thing with Ayton is like, okay, well, he has to do something different if he's going to be better than he was in Phoenix, more of a star than he was in Phoenix, and justify the contract. And the easiest thing I thought was for him to just step out and start shooting threes and knocking them down. And then maybe that opens up other things. Like, that is the first thing. And he practiced them all offseason. It's like, he has touch. So it's like, okay, well, I was expecting him to shoot like 3 threes a game. He hasn't shot one. It's just there's such a disconnect. He hasn't shot one in 14 games. I think he shot more in Phoenix last year. You remember him hitting a 3 against us early in the season?
Mm-hmm. I think I definitely think he could be like 5th, maybe 4th best player on a championship team. But yeah, he's definitely not.
But he ain't paid like that.
Like dominating, yeah, which isn't bad. I just don't like how I don't know. The narrative's always that he's some elite player, and I think that's the part of the problem too. Is like you have people hyping him up, like I said, another show did, and it's like that creates then. I don't know. People can't just be honest and say he's okay. Like, that's fine. Like, he's not great. He's not horrible. He's okay. Like, and that's fine. But that's also not a max contract player.
Yep. Yeah. So I have an article coming out. My first article for 750 The Game, and I touch upon Ayton a little bit and basically just saying like he needs to do more. And in that article, I'll tease it a little bit. I had a sentence that basically says the calculus going forward with Ayton is all about opportunity cost, and the question is basically, is Ayton's production greater than what the Blazers could do if they didn't have his contract on the books?
Mm-hmm.
That is the calculation. And I think he needs to be doing more than what he's been doing for that to swing in his favor.
Starting out feisty.
Yeah, I mean, they told me, they're like, have an opinion, man, have an opinion. And, I backed it up. I was basically saying, like, his stats aren't any better than Nurkic's was last year, despite him making twice as much money, pulled per 100 possession numbers for points, rebounds, assists, true shooting percentage. Because they're not. So there's a case there. So yeah, I'm not going to be afraid to voice my opinion. And I talked about injuries. I talked about Shaedon Sharpe is ahead of schedule, even despite his struggles. Some of them are circumstantial. Talked about Tamani, which is a positive, and then DeAndre, which is, DeAndre needs to do more. So I tried to have a good balance in there. So looking forward to that. So stay tuned for when that drops. I'll tweet it out. Looking forward to dropping my first piece with 750 the game. And also curious what you guys think of my writing with that. Because I don't really write like that, but I think I can write, and I'm curious to see if you guys think it was well written. So definitely give me feedback. Good feedback is appreciated. Constructive criticism is also appreciated. Nice. And chat got us to 100 likes. Only 15% said screw our likes. So chat's positive today after the win. You love to see it.
You'll good.
Love to see it. Anyway. Man, so this game was fun, bro. This game was fun. It's nice to hit shots for once.
Well, I mean, it's fun because we won, but it was also kind of boring once we got a big.
Wasn't it nice to have a boring game where we weren't getting absolutely embarrassed, though? You know, it was.
Yeah.
Honestly, I watched this game at the gym while shooting around. So, like, every commercial break, I was getting shots up. My shot just felt horrible today, by the way. So, like, yeah, so it was kind of nice. Every now and then, when I just need to go to the gym, especially with Thanksgiving tomorrow, like, I need to go to the gym. And I need to lose some of the weight I've put on the last, 3 months. So, yeah, it was nice to shoot around at half and just have my headphones in, and then game comes back and just sit there and watch. What's up?
Is that why you're doing the fast?
Yes, that's why I'm fasting. Yes,
you're the opposite thing of me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go from a weight that I just do not want to be to like skinnier than I've been in a decade is the goal. So Trumbull says no, go chubby. Nah. I play a lot of basketball, and my ankle is still just, I don't know if it'll ever be 100% again. So getting some of that weight off, I think, will be a good thing. Maybe. I don't know. Like, my ankle still is not. I don't know. It's been like it's been 2.5 months. So.
Yeah, I was at a point where I weighed so much I had to wear knee braces when I played. Otherwise, my knees just killed me. And I've actually lost enough weight so I can run up and down the court without knee braces anymore. It's nice.
Taylor says I do fasting, but the other way around. I'll eat during the 16 hours and then sleep for the 8. Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard, man. Like, I've had times where I've just accidentally done the 16 and 8 fasting. Like, yeah, so if anybody's confused, eat 8 hours a day and then no caloric intake for 16 hours. And 8 of those are sleep, so the other 8 of them is like 4 hours before you go to bed, 4 hours after you wake up. Or like 6 hours before you go to bed, it's 2 hours after you wake up. Today, it's not happening because Thanksgiving and all today. Actually, I've barely eaten. So like I fasted for like 17 hours and then woke up today. I've barely eaten anything. It's not a true fast, but it's almost, I don't know. I was like 7 pounds down from like 6-7 days ago. Yeah. So, I'm chilling for tomorrow. I'm good for tomorrow. Some of it's just because I haven't eaten, but yeah, it's already. I can lose weight. I can lose weight pretty fast if I try. So, not too stressed about it.
Yeah, my old job, like I would go like all day without eating, but it wasn't like on purpose. I just was busy or whatever. But like my new job, it's pretty physical. So like I'm on my feet all day. I'm like, by the time lunch comes around, I'm so hungry I have to eat. So I don't think I could fast, but I'm like also on my feet all day. So like I'm still losing weight no matter what I eat for lunch now because I'm so active. So that's good.
Yeah, that is good. You love to hear it. Anyway, one final reminder, Mojo Fantasy is the sponsor of this postgame show. Got football games tomorrow, so if you want to play some daily fantasy with the newest, the freshest, the most unique daily fantasy app out there, and if you want to win a signed Anthony Simons jersey, all you have to do is download the Mojo Fantasy app with my link in the description box below, and then enter a paid contest, and that'll automatically enter you into the drawing for this signed Anthony Simons jersey. So I highly recommend you do that. It helps out the channel as well. So always appreciate when any of you use any of our sponsors, because they want us to. What'd you say?
I said, yeah, thanks everyone.
Yeah. Because we have to do right by our sponsors, man. We have to do right by them. So shout out to Mojo. Check them out. Fun app. I'm probably gonna play some tomorrow for football. Nice. Yeah, I've enjoyed it, and I've had good success. So, in chat, you guys are so freaking smart. I mean, in picks against the spread, you guys are just running up the score. Did they have a good day today?
I think so.
Chat today in picks against the spread, 10-4 in picks against the spread. Chat is 47-26, 4 games ahead of second place. We got 12.
Made a lot of money.
Yep, we got 12 people participating right now in picks against the spread. It's me, Eric, all our mods, our podcast hosts, and chat. Chat, you guys are freaking killing it. 47-26 is an insane record. 64.4% of your picks correct. So, I mean, got some ball knowers out there, Eric.
Yep.
Some people that know ball. So they're killing it in picks against the spread. By the way, if you don't know, it's a segment on our second channel, Blazers Uprise Podcasts. We have a show called Blazers Uprise Live on it that we go live twice a week, and we pick spreads every Monday and Thursday. But since there's no games tomorrow, we pick games today. There was 14 games today. So as far as that went, man, chat 10-4, best record of the day. Arrow 9-5. I went 8-6. Chase went 8-6. You had Connor, Trevin, and 503 going 7-7. Yes, that's the 503 from Twitter. You had Zach and Eric going 6-8, and you had Jackson, Crushables, and Steven going 5-9.
Nice. It wasn't the worst.
Yeah. Everything's still relatively close, except chat is trying to run away with it.
There were so many spreads that were like one within a point of the spread, including another push.
So many scores. Yeah, there was a lot of spreads that weren't half a point at all, so I figured there was going to be a push today.
Yeah.
Luckily, it wasn't anyone's double down. Should have went with the Blazers today, though, man. It's just, chat is just insane right now, dude. Chat. You guys can literally make like spread picks based on chat and just make money just based on what chat picks. For real.
Fun PS when Anthony's supposed to be back. The 6-week time frame would be mid-December, or sometime around mid-December. Oh, I see it. Elizabeth Allen already answered that, but yeah, sometime around middle of December if he's out the full 6 weeks, or if he's back within 6 weeks.
People are worried about me crash dieting, Eric. Eric Olsen. I'll be fine, bro. I'll be fine. I know what I'm doing, man. I'm not starving myself. I'm not eating during the 8 hours I'm supposed to be eating. Okay, I will be fine.
Rich wants to know 3 Blazer-related things you're thankful for.
3 Blazer things I'm thankful for. Joe, Cronin, and Jody. Just kidding.
What?
Joe
Cronin
and,
counts
yeah,
as too.
Joe and Cronin. Yeah.
Some guy named Joe.
Yeah. I mean, Blazers Uprise is number 1. Okay. Our 2029 first round picks and our young talent. Yeah. What do you got?
Well, today I was thankful to see Scoot back on the court, so that's good. Yeah, the Blazers Uprise community, all the people we've met through being Blazer fans and stuff like that. So I'm thankful for that. This year in particular, in addition to this stuff, I've also gotten to know both Rich and Crushables a lot better, and that's been really cool. So I'm thankful for you, Tori, and Crushables and Rich for everything that we've been through. And yeah, I'm thankful that the Dame saga is finally over because that was exhausting this summer.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Taylor's comment made me laugh. He said, I'm thankful for Tori's playing career so he can give us the deepest analysis possible. Oh, man. It's just funny because I know Taylor spends some time over there on Reddit. And I wish... Can you get Reddit to be a little bit more thankful about that, Taylor? Because they're not very thankful about that.
No, you don't want anyone to, like, fight for you on there because it'll just make it worse.
Yeah, don't fight for me on Reddit because you will get obliterated, all right?
If
You'll
you
get downvoted.
Yeah.
Because there is enough of a little community over there that doesn't like me. So, you know, don't get yourself into any situations where you got haters too, all right?
Yeah. Aeromancer just posted something. It had nothing to do with Blazers Uprise, nothing to do with us, and it was like talking about how Duop Reith, like per 36 or something, is attempting the second most threes in the NBA behind Steph Curry or something, and he just got downvoted.
Yeah. Dude, it's wild over there. It's wild. Taylor Packer says, I've been called your burner account before, so I gave up. Like, yeah, dude, as if I care enough to have a burner account. I'll go talk to those people under an account that's called, like, Blazers Uprise if I want to. You know what I mean? I'm not scared. I don't need a burner account.
Yeah.
I mean, people will hate. It is what it is. Like, I've started to work with a lot of creators at Hog Media. And they all have haters. They all have people that despise them for whatever reason, and it's just the reality. Like, I don't care, man. I am at the point where I care less than ever. Also, we haven't really been this offseason, we got so much hate that, like, I don't think anything else will ever compare. Yeah. Also, it's like I'm not going to go search on Reddit I'm not going to go on Reddit and see stuff about me. But I did get in the Rip City Reddit Discord, Eric, because Arrow is actually a mod there. I don't know if I should be outing Arrow as a mod at the Rip City Reddit Discord, but he is. And he had me listed as a podcaster. So now when I'm online on Discord, on the right side, my name is near the top under podcaster, and I just think that's hilarious. So that anybody that... any of those haters
go in there.
I mean, I'm just in there just to be in there, you know? I mean, people can see my name streaming Portland Trailblazers versus Utah Jazz recap, so they can see that I'm streaming, so they can go click on the stream like it's a little billboard message, right? And also it can, if I pop in and say something every now and then, like maybe it pisses somebody off, and that's cool, you know?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about this earlier today that we haven't really had a ton of negativity in chat, so thank you.
This is the most chill chat has been, bro. So shout out to chat. I don't know where all the trolls went.
Well, I think it's like the team sucks, so it's not fun to troll because
this is a weird season, man. Like, it's just completely abnormal in terms of the experience. Like, I don't know. When we first started off, we used to just like BS with chat, and it wasn't a super serious post-game show. We just stream. And there's times where I do miss those days, but also I was more childish back then in a way. Like, it was a little easier. Now I'm a little bit more matured, I think. But also we put on a more serious show. So, but we used to have burners of like every player, burners of people, burners of Eric, burners of me. You'd have Eric B ranting in chat would be the name of an account. Get it? Eric B ranting. Captain. Yeah, all sorts of just funny like meme accounts, and that was really what our channel was year one. And then, you know, it got to the point where it's very serious, but like the last couple of years we were good, or we thought we were maybe decent at the start of the year, and then we sucked. And now this year it's just we don't have any trolls anymore, apparently. They're all gone somehow. And we suck. But today we were great, so that was great. But it's just a completely new experience, and it's kind of just fascinating to be a part of it in a way.
Yeah. Positivity, man.
And then the Block Boy Mellow era. Yeah, like there's definitely like a timeline of different eras of this channel, and it's kind of loosely based on the team, right? But yeah, the Block Boy Mellow era was one that I don't miss.
All right, I guess we have to start fighting now. Rich, shut up, man. And Taylor Packer, quit making it about you in chat, dude. It's not always about you, Taylor. We mention your name so much on this show.
See, this is what it feels like. This is what people will say to us. Yeah. Rich, I love your comment. I love your comment. Because Eric hates your comment. Oh, man. By the way, last stream you asked people if people remember the Twitter Spaces. I do, and don't bring them back, says Taylor. Don't bring them back. Okay. We won't. Just for you, okay?
But Taylor, you could come on.
Yeah.
And tell us how.
Yeah, you can give us Rip City Reddit updates. You can be like TMZ, but for Reddit.
This will be a new segment. Troy, what's your favorite side dish on Thanksgiving?
I'm a stuffing fan.
Yeah. Stuffing for me as well.
I also like yams, though. I've always liked yams. So, one of those two. Anyway, chat, any questions, any other comments, any other trolling you want to do before we get out of here? We will.
Hey, says you've matured.
Yeah, something like that. We'll be live again on Wednesday.
Oh.
Or not Wednesday, Sunday. Today is Wednesday.
Thank you, Davis. Man, we won, and you forget to do the AI image for tonight's game.
We'll end with that.
And we didn't do Tankathon because we won? What the heck?
Do you guys want a positive AI image? Is that what we're doing
Golden
here?
State lost.
Yeah, but we won. We won. We don't do it in wins.
Javon says, I'm disappointed we brought back Baji and didn't bring in Kai Jones. Well, it's possible that Kai wouldn't sign a two-way. It's also possible that no team is wanting to deal with him right now.
Okay, Portland Trailblazers splashing threes, very wet, dripping basketballs. What else should I add to it, chat? So we played the Jazz. So broken piano. Because we broke the Jazz. And I will add any other good suggestions from chat for this Bing AI image to recap this game. Very mature. Okay, I don't know what that would come up with though. We're not gonna add that. Oh, wait. Thanksgiving is tomorrow. So, turkey, Thanksgiving, dinner next to the court. I'll take out turkey. Broken piano and Thanksgiving dinner next to the court. Trailblazers splashing threes, very wet, dripping basketballs. I mean, that's a pretty good prompt. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with that, Eric. I'm pretty happy with this prompt. I think it'll give us something good. My last search was Crying Timbers fan because I wanted to get a good picture of Connor. All right, here we go, Eric.
what was the broken piano for?
Oh, because they're the Utah Jazz. We broke the Jazz. We broke the Jazz. Here, let me
Be like a saxophone or.
Yeah, I guess I figured broken piano would be a more I don't know, just a better thing to have in there. Here, I'll share my screen to you. Look at this picture. This picture is a work of art.
What the?
Work of art. We got CJ, I guess.
It doesn't look like CJ.
Yeah, it doesn't look like
Other
CJ,
than
though.
the jersey.
Yeah, just the jersey. But we got Thanksgiving dinner there. All right, next one. Who's this look like, chat? Who's this look like?
That looks like Damani.
It kind of does, actually. That's funny. Very wet is killing it. Yes, it's very wet. Nice.
Aldridge?
Nice. I don't know. Alan Crabb.
Chris Paul.
Chat, which one is your favorite? We'll do a chat poll, okay? We'll do a chat poll.
Dude, what is wrong with the piano in that last one?
I don't know. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. We're going to do a chat poll. All right.
Is he trying to, like, play the piano with his offhand?
I don't know. I'll go back to it in a second. I'm giving chat a poll. Chat is going to vote for their picture of the game. I'll go back to the pictures. This is some beautiful work. Beautiful, beautiful work. So once again, this is 4, this is 3, this is 2, and that is 1. My chat poll is broken on my mobile app. Anyway, let's take this down so I can look at the poll. Chat is going with picture number 4, Eric. Picture number 4. The Alan Crabb. The Alan Crabb. Picture of the game is Alan Crabb. That looks like Alan Crabb, and it's his number. The piano is funny. Anyway. Good job, chat. This is going to be a fun segment the rest of the year.
Have you heard this potential Josh Giddey stuff?
No, what happened? Is it made up by all the Thunder fans that hate him, or what are we doing?
Nah, I don't know if it's making up. I don't know how true it is. Hopefully it's not true. But apparently he has videos and pictures with a girl who is 17.
What are you doing, bro? So this is just another Wander Franco situation?
Well, I don't think it's that bad because...
Yeah, how old is he?
Well, I mean, Wander Franco was with, what, like 13? But yeah.
Yeah, that one was bad.
When she posted some Snapchat or something saying just F Josh Giddey or something, and she would have been like 15 or 16 at the time. So yeah, it's probably pretty bad.
Yikes. Yeah, don't know. Don't know
maybe,
whether to believe that or not, because there are a lot of Thunder fans that hate him, so that could be fabricated. But yeah, I mean, if that's true, that is not good, bro.
There's Sherman saying there's multiple girls, that those are 2 different ones.
Okay, well, we'll see how this plays out.
He just turned 21, so yeah.
We'll see how this plays out, I guess. I mean,
yeah.
Thunder fans may get their wish. They want him off the team, but yeah, I don't know. I don't even want to speculate.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what the rumor are. Yeah, I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just relaying what the Twitter world is buzzing about right now.
Wild stuff, man. Is it true that Ant is going to be a dad? Yes, with Brandon Ingram's baby mama. Welcome into TMC Uprise here on Blazers Uprise. We got scandals. Although that's not the same, obviously. Like, Ant is...
She's 29.
She's 29, and he's 23. Yeah, so, I mean, congrats to Ant, I guess, if he wanted a kid, but I don't know. She's somebody... You always... With the girls that are, like, always with a bunch of NBA players, it always makes you raise your eyebrows, like... What is she? Is she going after NBA players specifically because that's what she's attracted to? Is it because of the money? Is it because, it just raises some questions. Like, I don't know. Is he with her like that? Is he not? I don't know. It's not really my business. Good for Ant.
I mean, he was there at the announcement pictures or whatever.
Yeah.
She didn't show his face, but it was obviously him with his tattoos and stuff.
Yeah, it's just, dude, it's wild when it comes to, like, NBA players and that whole thing.
Yeah, at the same time, though, like, I don't know. Can you blame someone in their
young 20s? Yeah,
young
I mean,
20s
like,
or, like, wanting to... You have all these girls, like, or whatever you like, throwing themselves at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not going to read off Rip City Retros. Although I like that name.
Wow.
Anyway, this is Blazers Uprise After Dark because it's after midnight, which means it's time to end the show on a high note, on a low note. I don't know what sort of note we're ending it on, but the Jazz could not strike a note tonight, Eric, because they were broke. They were broke. 32% from three. They got outshot by the Portland Trail Blazers from behind the three-point line. That's embarrassing because the Blazers have not been able to shoot threes all year.
We're good tonight, though.
Tonight and last night. That's 2 nights in a row we've been in the 40s in terms of three-point percentage. So, I mean, if they can start knocking down threes and playing defense like they did tonight, you could have some more competitive games. Like, this team would have been in a game against maybe any team in the league tonight with the way they played, with the way they shot the three ball, with the way they flew around on defense. So, could have some interesting stuff coming up. But for us, we got a few days off. I'm going to drop a couple videos over Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Shout out to the sponsors. I got to do a couple sponsorships, so shout out to them. You guys get more content because of them. And then Milwaukee on Sunday. Watch party for that. Post-game for that as well. That'll be the first night of back-to-back. So we get the streaming. We kick it back off then because we got a game on the 26th, game on the 27th at Indiana, which is a team that has looked really good this year. And then we got another couple days off, and then we got a couple streams on Thursday as we go up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. But now we're just waiting on Ant to come back. That's the only guy we're waiting on to come back that is going to come back this season. So we'll see when he
Ayton now.
Return. Oh, Ayton too, I guess. But it's back spasms. Like, he's probably back next game, so we will see. But, yeah, appreciate all you guys tuning in. Appreciate all you guys with your support. Shout out to JD, the Dev, Colonel Pancakes, and Dro for donating tonight. We appreciate that as always. On your way out, if you want to become a channel member, click the join button. If you want to join the Uprising, it puts your name in green so you're more noticeable in chat. Gives you a name badge as well as some emojis that you can use. I need to add to those, so I'm gonna try to add to those over the next week and a half. And yeah, got a lot of stuff coming up. 750 the game article. Like, I'm just doing it all. So the best way to stay up to date, follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter accounts are linked in the description box below. I'm at ToreyJonesYT, Torey Jones YT. Eric is at Hoops Jock. That's plural, Hoops Jock. Channel is at Blazers Uprise YT. Thank you to Mojo for sponsoring this post-game show. Download the Mojo Fantasy app today with my link in the description box below. And if you do that and enter a paid contest, you got a chance to win the signed Anthony Simons jersey. And with that being said, we are out of here, Eric.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful day and get lots of good family time in tomorrow. Thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate all of you. Have a good day.
Yep, 100%. We are very thankful for the community that you guys are a part of. So thank you for making the community what it is and being a part of it. We appreciate you more than you'll ever know. So with that being said, have a good Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much. Or go ahead. It's the one day of the year where eat as much as you want.
Yeah.
Watch some football, relax, enjoy tomorrow, enjoy your Thanksgiving. We'll be back on Sunday. Looking forward to that day as the Blazers play against Dame. And until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.